Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilberts, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Table Talk. Hello, everyone in Titanland. Welcome back inside the Ames Library podcast studio for week 11 of Titan Table Talk as we inch closer to Thanksgiving and the end of first semester. We are also getting into a championship season for fall sports and the beginning of the season for our winter sports. And with both of those things in mind, our first two guests together today are Titan head men's track and field coach, director of track and field Todd Lowder, and head women's track and field coach Amelia Marino. Great to have you both aboard with us today for the first time this year. And for those who maybe have been in and out of Titan athletics news over the last 6 months or so, Amelia, formerly Amelia Glick, of course, is back on campus with us this fall, taking Chris Schumacher's place as the head women's track and field coach after he took the athletic director job up at Ripon. And Amelia, for those who have not necessarily been in town or seen you much since you graduated back in 2018, fill us in on your life since then.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tommy, for having us. So since graduating in 2018, I went on to pursue my master's degree in dietetics. Just down the road at Illinois State University, was super grateful to continue to be a part of the team as the GA, still working under Coach Heffiker and Coach Schumacher, primarily helping with recruiting, developing strength and conditioning programs. So just able to still be a part of the team, which was a great learning opportunity. Finished up my degree in 2021, went on to Westminster Village here in town. If anyone's heard of that, it's continuing care retirement community. We have independent living, assisted living, and then your 24-hour care. And I worked there for the past 2 years as a registered dietitian nutritionist, so using my license. And since then, since August, I accepted the head women's track and field coach position here at Illinois Wesleyan, and I'm super grateful to be back on campus.
I know. I think I speak for all of us when I say we're very excited to have you back. Take us through, a little bit of obviously a career change. Didn't necessarily feel like a 180-degree move because you'd been around a little bit since graduating. But, when Coach Shu first announced that he was going to be leaving after close to 3 decades running this program, when was it that idea kind of started to percolate in your mind? And can you just walk us through, the behind the scenes of the process when you first started thinking about it to what played into your final decision to take the position?
Yeah. Well, I'm super grateful to have had such a close relationship with Coach Shu, not only as a coach, but then as a mentor when I was a grad assistant. So was kind of in the process with him, knowing he was potentially going to be leaving, and he did reach out just to kind of gauge my interest, knowing I'm still in the community and loved every minute of my track and field career. So that kind of sparked my interest. I, had conversations with him and the other coaches on the staff just to learn a little bit more about the position, what my role would entitle. Went through that process and the interview process, and it felt right. It was easy to make the decision knowing I was coming back to a place that felt like home with people that felt like family. So it was a really smooth transition, and I'm excited to use my passion and my experience with long jump to coach the horizontal jumps, and then also to hopefully make a positive impact on some women and men's lives here on the track and field team. And then also I still get to use my degree in dietetics, which I'm super excited about. Currently adjunct professor in the School of Nursing teaching nutrition, and I'm hoping to expand upon that and teaching more classes, and also just to get more involved in the athletic department, doing sports nutrition for athletic teams, for individuals, and just I'm excited to see where that could take me in the coming years.
Yeah. And one of those things that I think you both have a little bit in common in your experiences in the last few years is the experience of being someone who's very relationship focused in your coaching style, walking into a new team where you really didn't know a ton of people on a well-established team. Obviously, it was a few years ago for you when you first joined the staff full-time after being around a little bit in a strength and conditioning role before that. But it's one of those things that only happens once in your collegiate career at a given place, because everybody else you've recruited, you've gotten to know a little bit, and then you continue to develop those relationships. But thinking back to your first year really being on campus with track full-time, any advice that you were able to offer Amelia in terms of, okay, how did I get to know an entire team at the same time, basically?
Obviously, Amelia is incredibly well accomplished as an athlete. Education speaks for itself. But through the interview process, what became so apparent to us was her passion to, what she said in her introduction, to help young people become better adults someday, more productive. Yes, we coach track and field, but really we develop young people into leaders. And my only advice, I think, to her was be you. Go out there and be you. Because if you do, it's going to shine through and these kids are going to follow you. So, and she's done that. She's never at a loss for words.
Really?
But super motivating to the kids, very upbeat, and in a time in history where I think there's a lot of uncertainty, to have that voice and that confidence and that carrying in front of them, and then pile on the athletic accomplishments and the technical expertise. It was a home run for the institution, for the program, and really ultimately for our young athletes. So advice, I don't know that I could give her a whole lot.
I appreciate that.
What has that process been like for you, getting used to these first couple months and getting to know everybody?
Yeah. So initially over the summer, I was really intentional about reaching out to all of my incoming freshmen, since they hadn't been living on campus, and really the only connection they had was with Coach Shu. So I was intentional about going to meet them where they were at in their hometowns, to grab coffee, grab dinner, just to spend a little bit of time getting to know them on a personal basis, one-on-one, so they felt a little bit more comfortable coming onto campus, already having someone that they knew. So that was my first step. And then when the school semester started and students moved back, I did one-on-ones with all of my girls, got to know them a little bit more, talked about their goals for the season. We talked about team bonding events. I think that's something we've been pushing a lot at the start of the season, is just getting the team together and trying to establish those connections. So we did some team volleyball, some sand volleyball, dodgeball. We did capture the flag last week. So we've really just been trying to push on getting the team together, and we want to have a presence there too, so they're more comfortable. Our student athletes are more comfortable with us, and we can establish those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was often the athletics representative at the at kind of the parent table discussions this summer at the Rising Titan sessions in June and July, and I had quite a few of the track parents. This is not a story that I've told a minute before off the air, but it's really nice to be able to sit there and say, 3 or 4 of them, I think almost every week, ask me about the new track coach. That's their biggest thing coming in. It's nice to be able to sit there and say that she's one of the best athletes to ever walk through the doors here, and is a far, far better human being than an athlete.
Amen.
And so it's a good start when you can get off on that note, honestly, with the parents. So for sure. So switching gears a little bit to wrapping up the fall cross country season, Coach Huff, Adriana, Annalese off doing final preparations in these next couple days to head out to Pensylvania. But for the second straight year, the Titan women will be sending runners to cross-country NCAAs. This year, it's 2. Adriana Crabtree making her first appearance at the NCAA cross-country meet. She did make the outdoor track and field national meet this spring in the 3K. And then Annalese Chudy returning for her second straight year after finishing 96th last year. Obviously, regionals very successful for both those girls this past weekend. 21st for Adriana, 25th for Annalese, just 6.5 seconds behind. Give us a little bit of the recap of last weekend and a preview of this weekend.
Sure, and I first would like to start with, I hate that Coach Huff, I hate to steal his thunder, but what a great weekend for him, doubling the number of athletes that are going, and the accomplishment of getting somebody, as you know, to the NCAAs, no matter what sport it is, it's just so incredible. I think the big story, and again, I hate to steal this from Huff, the big story was Adriana's been incredible all year. Unfortunately, came down with a cold the week of the regional meet. And the regional meet's one of those times when you just got to do it. It doesn't matter what the rest of the year looked like. You've got to do it on that day to get to the NCAAs. It's no secret Annalese has not had the season she wanted. We knew it was in there. Huff has done an incredible job preparing both of them. And on that day, it was what it's all about to be a Titan. It was leaning on each other, making each other better. We had this conversation in front of the whole track and field team yesterday. Basically, Annalese took it out and said, just stick with me. We're going to get there together. And Adriana hung on her. And then at the end of the race, when Annalese was starting to fade, Adriana said, it's my turn. Let's go. Don't let go of me. We're going to move. And they did what they had to do to get in place to make the NCAAs and both be all regions. So it was teamwork at its finest. It was when you're not at your best, lean on your teammate and trust each other. So what a great accomplishment, and we're super excited for both of them.
Yeah, it should be awesome this weekend. Newville, Pennsylvania, Big Spring High School. I believe it is a noon Eastern time start on Saturday, November 18th. And as we look ahead, after that one race for those two girls is done, it is full-on track season. You guys have been practicing indoors for about a month now, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's the start of the season going so far?
I think it's been great. I think we were already seeing improvements in our athletes, just in those little biomechanical movements as we progress through our workouts, and even just seeing the relationships that we've been talking about, like just seeing those being fostered through time together every day at practice. You see them putting the work in on the track, like we said, leaning in on each other to be better, then also having fun, which is what it's all about too.
Yeah, I think we've got great cohesiveness this year. Both sides brought in a lot of newcomers. We were, I think, 12 on the female side and 15 on the male side. So when you bring 27 new athletes in, you kind of hope that the culture will gel. That's significant. On the men's side, we're at 61. On the women's side, we're right at
around 40.
40. So large number of athletes. They have begun to become a team. You find out in practice when you challenge them where they're at, what their level of grit is, and you also get to see who the players are that are going to lift everybody up. We did some preseason testing. We put we do a 300-meter time trial for our sprinters and jumpers. We put 4 men and 3 women in our top 10, which is a list that's been, I think, 8 years running. So that is exciting for us when we look forward to it. When I get phone calls like I did last weekend where a newcomer says, hey, this team has got a lot more gas in the tank, and I want to be somebody that drives that, I get really excited, regardless what the numbers are. That attitude, that willingness to pull everybody along, and that I'm not going to quit till I reach my goal attitude is what it takes to accomplish things like she did when she was here. I think we've lacked that for a little while, and it's fun to see that return.
Yeah, absolutely. And kicking things off on December 9th with the alumni meet. I know really making a big push to try to get as many alums hopefully back for that as you can. Want to plug that a little bit here?
Yeah, December 9th, great meet. We're going to have a hospitality room specifically for our alum. We want to reach way back as far as we can. I know we've got a few from the 70s and 80s. Last year we had a gentleman from the early 70s come, Bill Faulkner, and watch the meet. This year we're going to take it up a notch. We've sent out a lot of invitations. A lot more will go out. But I believe, and I think we both share the idea, especially somebody who's part of the history of the program, that the strong foundation, we need to connect that so that our athletes today see what built the house that they get to play in, and then express to them that they have that same responsibility to inspire those that are looking right now at where they want to go to college and what it means to be a Titan, because it does need to mean something, and that's all about how they approach this.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts we want to add as we look forward to the season, or ready to?
Just really, really excited for the season to kick off on December 9th. And like I've said prior, I'm really grateful to be back and to be a part of it. And I think we're excited to continue to work together and to grow alongside our athletes, not only on the track, but just in everyday lives. So super grateful to be back, and we are really looking forward to the kickoff of the season on December 9th.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing everything Titan Track and Field can do this year. And most importantly, first, Adriana Crabtree and Annalese Chudy this weekend out in Pennsylvania. Good luck to those two ladies. Good luck to both of you as you get your season rolling. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey there, Titan fans. The Titan Streaming Network is looking for new sponsors for the 2023-2024 season. If you are interested in sponsoring the live streams and having your brand or company showcased during the games, don't hesitate to reach out to live stream coordinator Tyler Wilson at twilson2@iwu.edu. Together, we can form a partnership that helps all sides and allows us to continue showcasing and supporting Titan athletics. Thank you, and go Titans!
Welcome back once again to Titan Table Talk here in week 11 of the fall semester. Happy to be joined by our second and final guest of the day. It is Titan women's basketball junior guard Lauren Huber. Lauren, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Excited to break down two games that actually counted in the standings. So much, obviously, talk and build up and hype about the ISU exhibition back on the 29th. But the true opener to the season, the Cornell Classic this past weekend, Titans come out 2-0, 70-55 victory over the host Rams on Saturday. 23 points, 8 rebounds for you in that one. Ava Bartik, 17 points and 6 dimes as well. And then an 87-79 victory over Luther on Sunday in a pretty sometimes uncharacteristically a high-scoring affair for the Titans. Walk us through that Saturday game first, season opener, first time that you guys got to play together. It's, much the same core group back, plus Ava playing some significant minutes, Sawyer White in the lineup right away from the jump this year. How'd you feel like everything came together?
I think we felt really happy with playing, not exactly our polished performance, which isn't to be expected by your first game, of course, but I was talking to some of the players after, specifically Katie, Ava, Mal, and we were saying how, like, this season, we've really focused on that off-court, preseason bonding and connecting with each other, focusing on playing this season not just with each other but for each other, and how that really adds depth to the game and some resilience. So we've been doing like sisterhood, where like you get paired with someone on the team and then you go do something together, just hang out for like 30 minutes, an hour. And that's really integrated our freshmen in really well, and I know Ava feels as though like that really helped her mesh on the team, and I think that showed at our games this weekend, as well as we were talking after, like Saturday, that game was very high energy. It was very intense. Coach Smith actually got a technical. It was a lot of energy, a lot of great competition, and after the game, we were just saying how, like, this is how it feels to play Titan basketball, just running up the court, being physical, playing for each other, and coming off a season where I know Mal was out for almost every game. Katie missed a big chunk of the latter half of the season. I played with an injury the whole season. Ava was coming from a kind of struggling program over at UIS, and it just felt as though this was kind of a coming out game where it's like we love to play basketball. Like, we came here because we love to play basketball, and you don't feel that every game perhaps, but this season we're really just focusing on getting our motivation and our energy from that.
Yeah, and, we talked a little bit about a couple of the standouts on the offensive side, but really, the identity of Titan basketball in so many ways for so many years has been built around aggressive defense. And Maya Smith's run and jump, 23 forced turnovers, 13 steals, 25 points off turnovers against Cornell. Defensively against Luther on Sunday, probably a little bit of a tale of one quarter and then three other quarters. Norris came out really hot, 14 for 20 in the first quarter, 29 points. You're already trailing by 10 after 10 minutes. A little bit of a unusual position. You're going to give up 70% shooting from the field in a quarter most of the time, and then came out and completely shut them down for a single-digit second quarter. You attribute most of that just to their hot shooting in the first, or were there adjustments that you guys made with Coach Smith to help that effort?
Definitely adjustments, and really recognizing 29 points in a quarter is never okay. And we followed it with a 3-point quarter from them. But like Sawyer White, she had to have at least 4 or 5 steals in the second quarter alone. She just has this innate ability to just read people's minds basically and get in that passing lane. And then we were pushing the court, which of course is like our natural style of play. And that's how coaches recruited our team, to be small and quick. We want to run the court as much as possible, score in transition. That's when we shine. So I think in the second quarter, that's when we found our step with that. In the first quarter, we were struggling and doing more half-court sets. And, Coach talked a lot about limiting second-chance efforts. And they did have a great shooting percentage, so they played very well, especially coming off a hard loss the day before. So to some extent, like, they shot well, but we also made adjustments. So
yeah, absolutely. And the 12-0 run coming out to open the second quarter, I mean, you go from being down 29-19, fast forward a few minutes later, up to part of a bigger 23-3 run that really, I wouldn't say it totally put the game away. The Norse got back within 5 in the second half, but certainly made a statement right away that we're not who we showed in the first 10 minutes there. Ava Bardick, 19 points in that one. Lauren, 17 points, 9 boards. Mallory Powers, particularly a big part of that run in the second quarter. I believe 5 for 7 from 3 or something along those lines. 17 points for Mallory, almost all of that in that big run in the first half.
Yeah, Mallory never ceases to impress me. I distinctly remember throwing her a pass. I got a rebound from down low, threw it out horrible. Like, got tipped. It took at least 3 bounces before it reached her hand for the 3-point shot and swoosh. I'm like, okay.
Which is how you drew it up in practice, correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But Ava, couldn't be happier with, like, how she's taking the court this season. She's an amazing player. She plays with heart, with hustle, and a lot of drive. So it's great to have her on the team playing with her. She really excels our team.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit more depth to the backcourt, especially somebody who can shoot the three, but somebody who can do a lot of different things as well on offense. And when you're talking about losing, your primary ball handler from last year in Caitlin Heller, and I talked to Coach Smith a little bit. I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. These do tend to blend together at some point, but talked about how that point guard spot was going to be covered and who was going to end up playing more on ball or off ball. Not that it necessarily matters as long as you're all, have roles that make the team successful going forward. But how did you see that kind of to shake out a little bit in the first 2 games?
I think, like I said before, we're a pretty small, quick team. So as positionless as basketball can get, I think the better. Because when you have someone who is getting the rebound and pushing their own right away, like that's when you get more points in transition. And Sawyer and Ava, in my mind, like, I want both of them at the 3-point line. I want both of them taking the ball up. So there's so many people who are capable of that on our team now that we're going to be harder to guard.
Yeah, and speaking of hard to guard, I did want to circle back to your comment about Sawyer probably having 4 or 5 steals in that span, 7 in the game. We got to see a little bit of that towards the end of the year. Last year, obviously working in as a freshman, coming off a deep NCAA tournament run in soccer season, didn't get a full chance to see what she could do on the basketball court till really at least the back half of last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the Titan basketball program has seen a perimeter defender, at least somebody who can get in the lane like that, probably since Sydney Shanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coach loves to talk about her past teams, and she even compared Ava to someone who one of our freshmen, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably 5'5", but just really strong. And when she drives to the lane, like, she's getting to the basket. So Coach loves to draw on past players and what they're like, but Sawyer is just an amazing defender. And if I was watching her this weekend, because it really is just amazing watching her play defense, and it's not really textbook. Like, watching her feet, they're not like power, shuffle, slide. It's just like pure athleticism. And I think a lot of that probably comes from soccer and playing defense there. But she is just so sharp, so quick.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun to watch. Fast forwarding a little bit now to this coming weekend, heading up to Michigan for the Hope Tip-Off Tournament, Friday, November 17th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time start against Puget Sound, and then either 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. once again Eastern Time on Saturday against Hope or John Carroll. Some tough opponents. We don't know exactly who will end up playing on Saturday, of course, but tough opponents either way coming up this weekend. How are you guys preparing this weekend in practice for that second trip of the year?
I think we're really focusing on building off of things we learned from each game, tightening that up, and then looking to our opponents then. I know all of our games coming up here are going to be tough opponents. We play a lot of ranked teams. I think the team we play Friday was like 23-3 last season, something like that.
Yeah, and they're right outside the top 25, d3hoops.com, receiving votes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great. We're just really going out there to compete and then figuring out early in the season what it is that we need to work on, and then just getting in the gym and working on that together.
Yeah, and you're really obviously pretty limited in November as to how much film you can watch, how much insight you can really gain on opponents that only have a couple games.
Exactly.
But let your style of play as a group continue to develop. It's one place where you guys do have an upper hand over a lot of people with a group that's, the core of this team has played together for 3 years, and there's not a ton of minutes leaving at the end of the year either. So,
yeah, and we've talked a lot in practice about, we started tracking our shots in practice, like whether 2s, 3s, shooting percentages, and so we're focusing on shot distribution and like what exactly in certain scenarios we want. It's really just giving confidence to our shooters, like this is a shot we want, whether you're making it or missing it, like where we want the ball coming from. And I think that is really important when playing against good teams, that we have that confidence in ourselves that we can get through, even though maybe shooting percentages are not in our favor, like they will at some point.
Well, it's the process stuff. It's you have to make sure, okay, if we shot 31% from the field this game, was it just a tough night? Were we just, being close to guarded and taking good shots? Or is our shot selection poor, and is that something we need to go back and look at? And those are two very different outcomes at the end of a game.
Right, exactly. And coaches said in practices where we're getting paint touches and like reversal of the floors, like that's when our shooting percentage goes way up. So we've really been working on that this past week, and we'll continue working on it this week so we can bring it this weekend.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to that. So in our last couple minutes here, as we've tried to do, if you've watched any of the other student-athlete interviews, give our fans, our viewers, our listeners a little bit of insight into not just Lauren Huber, the basketball player who you see on the court, but the person outside of that, especially on campus. And obviously you've been involved in quite a few things on campus other than simply basketball. But if you want to give our Titan audience a little sense of, your day-to-day life and everything else you're involved in.
Yeah. Well, I like to keep busy, and my goal career-wise is to be a physician assistant. So my dream school would be Midwestern University. So looking to apply there this April. And I've been working on racking up some patient contact hours. So I worked as an EMT for a private ambulance company, Elite Ambulance, out of Schiller Park this summer. And on campus now, I'm working in the lab as a Gen Bio preparator for Dr. Haywood. I basically just take care of chaos, amoeba, and paramecium, keep them alive for the students to do experiments with. And then I'm also working in the athletic training room. I worked a couple football games where I helped tape wrists, thumbs for the games, which is also good patient contact experience. So, yeah.
The goal really is to get you taped less often this year and let you do all of the taping.
Absolutely.
Instead. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thanks so much for joining us again today, Lauren. Good luck this weekend. Good luck the rest of the season, and hope to have you on again sometime.
Thank you so much.